Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rosslyn Hill Chapel, a spiritual home for open minds. I'm Sally Somerville, an elder of the chapel. This morning's service will be led by me and Roger. Whoever you are and wherever you are on this life's journey, there is a place for you here in our spiritual community. Whatever your race, gender, sexuality, class, age, physical and mental capability, in the spirit of love, you are most welcome. Bright Lights, our children's chapel and crèche for children aged 2 and above, is open to children aged 5 to 12, and there is a crèche for children aged 2 to 5. Babies under the age of 2 can join the crèche, but must be accompanied by an adult. After the service and a chat in the side aisle, you are invited to stay for lunch club. From 12:30 to 1:30, a low-cost meal will be served in the hall. Everyone is welcome. At 6 p.m., there is 30 minutes mindfulness. At 7 p.m., labyrinth walking meditation. If you're watching at home, please join the virtual side aisle at midday. The Zoom link is in the weekly email, and you can also find it via the link in the YouTube description. And to those of you in the chapel, do please join us for tea and coffee in the real side aisle after the service. You can find information about our chapel and all our activities on our website, but if you prefer a paper version, please collect one from the steward's table. We take the collection during the closing music at the end of the service. We will circulate with the card reader and a basket for those who prefer to give a cash donation. This month's good cause is Forum Plus. The charity supports LGBTQ folk with social welfare training and employment issues. Sorry, I'll make that clearer. With social welfare training and employment issues. We will divide our collection between the upkeep of this beautiful chapel and this very good cause. If you're a UK taxpayer, you can boost your donation by completing a gift aid form, although currently we can't collect gift aid from card donations. As many of you will be aware, Chinese New Year is celebrated from the 29th of January to the 12th of January, a date just 2 days short of Valentine's Day, a harbinger of spring. We like to get to know one another, so please turn to someone near you, say your name, and welcome them to the chapel in the language you were born to. Please listen out for the musical signal to bring you back to the service. It's time now to light our chalice. Roger is going to light the candles for me, and while I read the call to worship. We don't have Kate's facility of being able to do both at once. These words have been used as a call to worship in Unitarian services for the past 160 years. Love is the doctrine of this chapel. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony. This is our great covenant, one with another.
Let's sing our first hymn, Love Will Guide Us. As is our custom, John will play the tune through before we rise and sing. And a warning, in a difference from our regular services, the first hymn is the one printed in the order of service. It's not in the Green Book. It's now time for the story for all ages, which Sally is going to tell the story. Please come forward. Any more children? Hello, Serin.
I'm glad you're here, Serin. Very glad. Great. Oh, thank you for getting moving this morning. Anywhere you like. Okay. Right. Right. We ready to go? We are. Okay. This is a book called Mixed, and it's one with which many of you might be very familiar, or somewhat familiar. And it's a book, it says it's a book about colour, an inspiring story about colour. And it is very interesting on that subject. But our theme this week is inclusion and acceptance. Our theme this month, I should say. And I think this book has something to tell us. It says there's more than one colour. There's red, there's yellow, and there's blue. And some of us can think of a few more. And at one time, they all lived in one town. And they were different from each other in lots of ways. The Reds were incredibly loud. They were so busy having fun and being loud. They didn't seem to notice many people otherwise. Just themselves, just being red, being loud, having fun. That was what was important. And it is important, isn't it, Sarah? Yeah. And there are some yellow colours. Yep. The yellow colours were all bright and interested in everything. They were interested in the sky, they were interested in the trees, they were interested in the flowers, they were interested in each other. That was what they were like. See what the blues were like. They were very calm, very cool. They didn't do very much except swan around and be cool and calm. They all lived together in Mixedville. They were kind of mixed together, but they didn't take much notice of each other. Yeah? And then, what does it say here? Turned over too many pages at once. That's where. Oh, look. The Reds are saying, Reds are best. The Yellows said, no, you're not. We're the brightest. The Blues, well, we know, they were so cool. They just put their noses in the air and took no notice of what was going on, or tried to pretend they were. So they all lived separately for quite a while. But then something wonderful happened. The Blues and a blue and a yellow met, and they became friends, and they really liked each other. Do you know what happened next? Yes, they really liked each other. And they were pleased to see each other, and when the other people in the story, the other colours, I should say, in the story, learned what was happening, they were disapproving. They didn't like it. The Blues said, I don't like yellow's effect on blue. And the Reds said, oh, the colours just shouldn't mix. And the Yellows said, that blue isn't nearly bright enough for that yellow. But yellow and blue did get on, and they mixed together. And they loved each other. They fell in love, and they persuaded their families to let them marry one another. And the Reds had to get in on the act, so the Reds did the ceremony. And it all took its natural course, and blue and yellow had a baby, and it turned out to be a green. And it was a dear little baby. Most babies are. In fact, I hazard to say all babies are dear little things. Okay. It was such a success that all of the colours started to get friendly. And in due course, red and yellow got married. I've given it away now. What colour was their baby, Saren?
I think it was orange.
Orange, I think you're right. And blue and red, I'm sure everybody knows, had a purple baby. Yeah. And then everybody got in on the act. And they all accepted one another, and they began to mix. And all kinds of colours came about. It's thanks to these colours that we have all the colours in the world, perhaps. And they all lived together. And in the manner of all good stories, it ends happily, with us all accepting each other. Now, it's time to sing the children out. The words are on your sheet if you need them.
Good morning again, everyone. I'm Roger Mason, a Chapel board member, and I spent many years in China, and I'd like to introduce a Chinese song that Valerie Wong will sing for us. As Sally told you, we're in the second week of the Chinese New Year holiday, which is the biggest family celebration in China, and less than a week ahead of St. Valentine's Day. So this is a simple Chinese love song. Moonlight represents my heart. My wife and I heard it many times when we lived in China. The song says in English, the opening verses only, "You ask me how deeply I love you. I do love you a bit. My thoughts are true, and my love is true. Moonlight represents my heart. A gentle kiss has touched my heart. I miss deep love today. Moonlight represents my heart." sing our second hymn, which is in the Green Book, number 127, Gather Us In. John will play the tune through, and then we'll sing it. Let us enter into a time of prayer and meditation. If you are holding someone in your thoughts, please speak their names aloud in the coming silence. Lee. May the loving messages of our hearts fly true to their Valentine targets. Cheer them and warm them through all the challenges of our lives. In peace.
It's time now to be lighting for some music from John, and while the music is playing, if you'd like to come forward and light a candle for a joy. Sorry, if it's time now for some music from John, and if you'd like to light a candle while it's playing, now is the time.
Thank you again, Valerie. Let's enter a time of prayer and meditation.
Prayer for all. Spirit of love and Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts, as we seek connection with someone, something beyond ourselves, we remain humbled by the awesome complexity of the universe, the miracle of creation, and the grace of the ultimate Spirit. In this time of prayer, let us give thanks for our community and for our many gifts by naming our blessings quietly to ourselves in these moments of stillness. Recognizing our woes and faults, let us sit quietly with those parts of ourselves which cause us discomfort, with a spirit of gentle understanding and forgiveness. Spirit of the divine self, we open up our hearts to listen to the wisdom of the still small voice that may speak in these quiet moments. God of our hearts, let this small act of worship send a ripple of loving kindness from this place to our loved ones, our acquaintances, and the wider world. O God, may we become the embodiment of divine love. Blessed be. Amen. Now, this for me is a surprise item. I didn't know this was happening, but I'm handing you over to Roger.
A reading of a poem that Sally wrote for Valentine's Day and presented to us last Monday at the poetry group meeting. Poem's entitled For Everyone in the World with Love. When the shimmering crystal honeycombed boxes that contain our souls scatter and empty them of their agonies and delights, their regrets and burdens, their gifts and treasured secrets, hope's jocund memory in its infinitely elastic web will sing us into eternity's joy together. And I now invite Sally to give the address.
Thank you, Roger. Now, where did I put that bit? Here we go. Loving language, which I do. The habit of communication is fundamental to our existence, no matter how old we are, where we live, our gender, our history, or our heritage. Nowadays, our individual voices and the way we use them are as unique and as recognizable as our fingerprints or our DNA. Humankind first emerged in Africa around 6 million years ago, and for each of those years, we have been hearing the sounds of our environments and developing our facility for language, and with it, that of music and representational art. Early examples of bone flutes, for instance, date from around 43,000 years ago. How long before that did someone make clicking sounds with his mouth to describe the sound of a galloping wildebeest? When did the first of their ancestors begin the observing and imagining that led them to blow across the top of a hollow grass stem? And why? Did they need to gather a group to defend themselves against some threat, or to educate their families to hunt and gather? Or perhaps just to tell the kids a good story? About 23,000 years ago, a Mesopotamian woman called Enheduanna, I think that's how you say it, was writing poetry, and around that time, Gilgamesh was written. Fast forward, skate rapidly over Hildegard of Bingen, who we know about, writer and a composer, and Julian of Norwich, who's a writer in the Middle Ages, to comparatively recent times. 500 years ago, songs were in use, and therefore poetry, to woo the object of one's desire, warn and inform people of the symptoms of illness, as work songs and shanties, to provide rhythms to row, to haul on ropes, or to harvest crops, or to explain the best way to wind in a sail on a sailing ship. Afro-American spirituals very often had a dual purpose, not only as work songs, but as a way to hide coded instructions of ways to escape the yoke of slavery, while appearing merely to worship. Civilizations grew and changed, affected by, with, and through language, as much as through natural disasters and the politics of the time. They continue to do so even as we sit here today. Influential humans, from Moses with his visions to Taylor Swift and her panoply of technologies, have passed and do pass their ideas and philosophies down the generations. Their children, no doubt, think them, thought them, whichever generation we're with, very banal, and in their turn, invent and adopt avant-garde expressions of their own time, as will their children. There are currently around 7,100 known languages spoken by other peoples on this planet, some of them unlikely to even know of each other's existence. Even when we share extensive histories, our attempts to reach agreement are quite a big ask. But where conferences too often fail to bring agreement or uncover common ground, poetry, music, and the arts provide a gateway to understanding between peoples. Poetry, whether honed very finely or written in haste, focuses on reality and meaning and intention, on telling our truths. Music, of course, gets straight through to our hearts. And I actually not called it hearts, I've said music gets straight through to our souls. Certainly does. Written or spoken, our words are powerful and used for every purpose. They are our wings and our excuses, and they take us to war when they fail us at the conference table. They explain and flesh out our translations, frame our memories, our prayers and despairs. Words rhyme and chime, and I could go on like this forever. In closing, who has not received a letter, a message, or phone call and been cheered by its particular familiar character or phrasing, or been relieved to hear a loved one's tone of voice, even before they've explained the hold-up on the M25 that's had you sitting at home biting your fingernails. So, we must be careful to compose our good wishes with the utmost intention, to be sure our words communicate our intentions and our meaning very clearly, with caring and with love, no matter the occasion, New Year's or Valentine's, birthdays or Christmases, congratulations or condolences or get well or you name it. You've certainly heard enough of my voice today. Use your voice. Be your story. Be understood. Now it's time for hymn number 3, The Joy of Living. Please take your seats. I'm expecting some closing music. Right. Actually, there's supposed to be, okay, but I can. We've already had it once, but I have revised it a bit. So, may the loving messages of our hearts fly straight and true, cheer and strengthen us through all the challenges of our lives. Go in peace, but do stay and listen to the music. And join us in the side aisle after. could ask Valerie to come and take a bow too. Thank you. Yes, do join us. Oh, well, no, I forget things all the time. Our thanks go to John and to Valerie and to Ava and to everyone, our stewards, Ken and Lara, and to everyone who comes on a Sunday and makes our services special. Oh, thank you. Do join us. The side aisle awaits.